Yo, what's up? You checking out Eric Caldwell, Jet Propulsion Lyrics. Number one podcast. The Emperor Black Brother of Nelson Manel, Rhyme Flow, Hamasi DR, The Flux, Chud Music, DJ Big Chud, DJ Big Chud. DJ Big Chud, DJ Big Chud, Skunk Militia, King James, Master of the Forbidden Arts, Big Stu, Big Stu, Big Stu, Company Boy, Mystique, Jet Propulsion Lyrics, Jet Propulsion Lyrics, Jet Propulsion Lyrics. Jet Propulsion Lyrics. Jet Propulsion Lyrics. The podcast. Eric Caldwell. Eric Caldwell. Eric Caldwell. Eric Caldwell. Eric Caldwell. Eric Caldwell. Jet Propulsion Lyrics. Number one podcast.
Welcome to the Jet Propulsion Lyric Podcast. And today, got my man Dane Uno.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My man is a world traveler.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Can we say that? Can we say that?
We can say that now.
All right.
Yeah, we can say that now. World traveler now.
Yes, indeed. So, oh man, you know, we talking history here. We kind of talking Chicago history here, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
We gonna start off with some Chicago history. All right, where you originally from in Chicago? Are you really originally from Chicago?
Originally from Chicago, South Side.
Okay.
Yeah. Same tell. Yeah. Chicago, straight Chicago, South Side, 95th Street.
95th.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So 95th. Well, where roundabouts 95th?
Right between Halsted and Vincennes, between 95th and 99. Yeah, Oakdale section.
Okay. So man, okay, being from Chicago, like I'm in my early 50s, so.
Okay, still young.
So I found hip hop around 83. When did you discover hip hop?
Probably around that same time. Well, maybe a little after, like maybe a year or two after.
Okay.
Cause let me see. I had an older brother, right? Actually an uncle like my brother. They grew up together and everything, like my brother. So he would bring tapes home, you know, and would play a lot of cassettes.
Okay.
And I would hear a lot of like EP, like in 86, 87, he had EPMD.
Yeah.
You know, Main Source, you know, even NWA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I would like take his tapes out and listen to them and dub them, you know. And then when my grandfather, my father's father, took me to a show out in Washington Park, and I seen Kurtis Blow. And when I seen Kurtis Blow, he did these other breaks out there, and that just like turned me out. When I seen that, I like the Police, everybody was rocking, right? And I thought he was from Chicago for a minute. I'm like, man, he must be, yeah. Everybody was just into it. It was just like the energy was crazy. Like I want to do that. Like I want to do that.
So that hip hop bug caught you early.
It caught me early. Like that same day, we seen some dudes breaking that day. Like, this dude on his head. I was like, oh shit. That's just like all that. That whole day with my grandfather. This was crazy. Like I'll never forget it. All to him almost like man, he didn't bring me out that day. It was in me already, I think,
but
but
it just came together that day.
that day he brought it all out. Like I want to do that shit. I want to do
so
that.
so '83 going into like high school era.
Yeah.
We started hearing like first was hearing like the Soul Sonic Force,
Mm-hmm.
Nucleus
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, and then that era,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
80, 85, 86 era, we kind of heard that
yeah.
Dougie Fresh,
Right.
Slick
Dougie,
Rick.
right. Dougie Fresh and them kind of they were so entertaining. Like everybody was trying to beatbox and everything around
Hmm.
that time. Everybody trying to do the tricks with their mouth. And dudes was a lot of dudes was rapping, but he was so fun with it. It was almost it was a fear factor. They still like in New York created that fear factor. I think in
Hmm.
Chicago, like you had dudes who was rapping like in the closet rapping,
Uh-huh.
like they didn't want to let you know that they was rapping yet, like because the house was still big in Chicago. So,
Right.
so you had dudes who was mixing the two. Like some dudes
Hmm.
was mixing the house with the hip hop and
Right.
being hip house, and some dudes was just being straight DJs and DJing the hip hop and DJing the house. So
The
it
good
was like
music.
that seeping through both genres was kind of clashing with each other with the people, right? With the people in Chicago. So
But
it
yeah,
was crazy.
so yeah, because even before that, we had the Run DMC era though, and
Exactly.
the Fat Boys and
Mm-hmm.
LL
LL
that brought us into that Slick
brought us
Rick in that
right.
Public Enemy era.
Yeah, you wanted to be run like run Kennedy. You wanted to be run like
That arrogance, that whole arrogance, the way he carried yourself as an MC.
right, all that. Like we got the hat, the Adidas, like man,
Yeah, the
that whole
Adidas.
that whole style, that new earthy like look, like grabs you, and that's that whole youthful look of it, like because the hip hop was kind of old school
Hmm.
to then, but
Right,
but the wave that was like kind of hitting us, that urban look was like, that it was the look, instead of like the suits and all that, like on,
right, right.
you know.
So, but when did you discover HBK though? When did HBK come into play?
HBK came into play like the late '80s, because again, like my big bro used to, he was into the house and the hip hop, so he would find the radio station. He'd
Hmm.
be up late on the radio and he catch the station. Like I'll wake up and I had curse words and uncensored. I'm like, man, what you listening to? And he'd be listening to HBK, and I'm like, what? And now that'd be like the talk of the neighborhood. Like, man, it's a radio station that come on real late. They play everything. And it was like the talk of the South Side. So
Uh,
that's kind of what made the station legendary. It was before all the and Instagram and Twitter and all that. It was like word of mouth. Like
yeah,
you heard the station, and then people was talking about it. Like it was like crazy. Like it was like wildfire. Like HBK is a
right.
Southside radio station, and it was fun. A lot of New York music, like all the New York hip hop that you wouldn't hear on the radio, you would hear
Yeah,
at HBK.
because you would get to like the Skinny Boys,
Yeah, Skinny Boy. Oh man,
Ramel Z, you
yeah. Like
know.
you was getting introduced to them people through HBK.
But it was one particular group that kind of just came through the ultramagnetic MCs.
Ultramagnetic MCs. They penetrated that station.
So I'm a fan of ultramagnetic.
Oh, no doubt.
When you first heard ultramagnetic, what did you think?
Yo, man. Yo.
I'm
Yo,
not
I
putting you
thought
on the
this dude
spot.
was another planet or some shit. Like because like the beats and it was almost like
Hey, could you repeat that? You had cut out.
I said them tracks that G was doing, like whatever he was doing with that SP, man, that shit was crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy. The crazy thing with me is I got to get a little back, hanging and running around with Keith.
Okay.
Fast forward. I got to, get a little bit of backstories and stuff. Like Keith brought a lot of those records to the forefront. He brought a lot of records from home and brought them to Said, and Said did his thing on a lot of those records. And
Yeah. We gonna get to that. We gonna get to that. We gonna.
Okay.
But I just want to focus on real quick is that HBK, when you hearing this, you sitting at home, you sitting somewhere, and you hear Eagle Tripping come on.
Oh man, like that. Oh man.
Well, you know what I mean? Because we hearing, the pub, even before Public Enemy, we hearing the Boogie Down Productions, we hearing Salt and Pepper, we hearing the stuff Herbie Lovebug is putting out.
Herbie was the man at the time.
Right, and so, but then you hear, we had the Juice Crew stuff come out.
Right.
The Marley stuff, but then you hear this
different sound. Sound.
So what did you think? I mean, you hearing it across this college radio station is playing this uncut raw.
It was futuristic to me. It was like a futuristic. I couldn't understand why they weren't bigger than what they were. Put it like that, because it was coming through, like we was getting it through HBK. And it was almost considered you wasn't even real hip hop if you ain't know about ultramagnetic and shit. Right. So you had to know something. So it was their music was so diverse and like totally away from what everybody else was doing. It just drawed you towards what, and then Keith was just like retarded on that mic. It brought you. It created MCs. It created producers. It created. I think they pushed the envelope with just what they were doing naturally, and created a lot of other artists out here to do the same thing. You know what I mean? A lot of people be like them. People in the game want to be like them. So a lot of your favorite rappers. They're your favorite rappers' favorite rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of
yes, indeed.
Yeah, a lot of artists look up to them. So I'm one of them. And it's a whole fleet of artists out here. And now it's so many new. It's a whole new wave. A lot of them looking up to us that look up to them, and they don't even know who they look up to. So. It's crazy how deeply rooted it is. Like Ultra Mag was a big force at HBK, man. They I don't even know what other group probably had that kind of impact coming to HBK as far as hip hop level,
So okay, but let's take it let's go back a step. So, but we had cats in the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really in the street like that. I was always, books and school. So
I had a mix of all them worlds: school, street, culture, music, all that shit.
So you a cat with one foot in all these worlds, and then you hearing Ultramagnetic, you hearing Public Enemy, you hearing BDP.
Man,
what effect is that having on you? Navigating Chicago streets.
These people are creating who I am today. Like even with my name, like my name alone, like Dane Uno. You know what I'm saying? I took that one from Chris.
Okay. So,
I took one from KRS-One. I took the Dane from Dana Dane. You know what I'm saying? Because my man in the hood used to call me Dane. He used to call me Damie Dane. Okay. And that's the tango my mother gave me when I was bad. So I caught the name when I was young, but I took it from those two people, Dana Dane and KRS-One.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But like PE, Chuck, Public Enemy, and BDP, KRS, everything they was doing over there, Skylar Rock, man, before he passed, like Criminal Minds, like man, all that shit was retarded. Like it was that music was like doing drugs or something. You know what I'm saying? like doing sniffing cocaine or something. Like, man, this shit is crazy. Like it was like you don't know that it's forming you because I I couldn't rap like that at the time. Like I couldn't. I was writing. I was writing.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? I
but
could, like I'm saying, I'm gonna be real. Like I ain't gonna even front. Like at that time, I wasn't at them levels. You know what I'm saying? These people,
that's what I'm
I'm
trying to
listening.
get at. That's what I'm trying to get at is that, you know, we listening to this music, we hearing these cats doing it at this higher level already. You
You
know,
right,
because they done
right.
elevated past what the Fat Boys was doing. They
Yeah,
elevated past what Run DMC and Kurtis Blow was doing.
yes,
You
yes,
understand what I'm saying? So we
yes,
listening to this here in Chicago, and
yes,
then we hearing the Bridge War stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah,
people in Chicago taking sides over
yeah.
something that's
And
happening in New York.
yeah, and
You
that's
know,
ridiculous.
and we listening to this play out, and we're hearing this on HBK. At least for me, I'm hearing this play out on every HBK because JP Chill is playing, Ken Ill is playing. The bridge is over, and the
Oh,
bridge, and um, the Shantae responds, the Sharon responds to all of these things. The
right,
poet,
right.
listen to poet come at Chris.
It was
You
all
know,
popping up around
yeah,
the
we
real.
and we taking sides here in Chicago. Chicago South
Yeah.
Side that took sides in the bridge war. Half is BDP, the other is Juice Crew, which is crazy.
It's so it is like it just goes to show how powerful that music was. It's like,
Exactly.
you know, it almost made you feel like you were from New York almost. You know, because you know New York is demographically it looks the same almost in a lot of places. So a
Uh-huh.
lot of those videos you looking at, a lot of them places look like Chicago. You know, you see the
Right.
old videos and the clothes they wearing, everything like that, the troop outfits, the 8 ball jackets, Gucci. Like we was wearing that, like the kids was wearing that stuff. You know what I'm saying? The same stuff was going on. The little robberies at the parties. The dude got stuck up for his coat, his belt, and all that. Like all that stuff was happening in New York. That stuff was happening in Chicago. They was just putting it out there, like magnifying it with the music on those high levels of music and lyrics and visuals. And it was just like it was
Yeah.
like showing you what you can do, what you're capable of, but we showing you first. Like it was just like going to school, like this big school, and you get to see all these members in the school, like teach everybody. Like
So like
okay,
Watching B Street kind of put like faces to some of those names.
yeah, it did,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like the Kool Herc, the Soul Sonic Force, to
Mm-hmm.
you know,
With the
Jazzy J,
DJ,
and
DJ,
to some of those spots. You know, you hear Soft Bronx, but to see the in the movies parts of the Soft Bronx, the trains, the artwork on the trains and the walls.
right, right, right. I can
You
see all
know,
that. I can see the Roxy and
yeah,
you know club and see them breaking and all that like in the street. I
that
guess
made
like
a big impact on us, right?
it made a big impact. People in Chicago was doing the same thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
those movies were huge. I remember being a little kid like that.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff was huge, and everybody was trying to break dance.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, like even you would see those documentaries, the kids in the Bronx talking. We try to break dance
Mm-hmm.
to gang bang and get a gang bang. It was real out in New
Yeah.
York. It was the same for Chicago, but you had guys trying to take a page out that book and go to the street dancing to avoid the gang bang. You had some
Right.
gang bangers who was actually breaking, and to try to keep from fighting.
So you had those cats in the street organizations and the women in those street organizations gravitate towards that breaking it.
They were gravitating towards the hip hop. I really think I really think if the hip hop was more you know more people put their hands in it in Chicago
Mm-hmm.
and had influence, it probably would have curbed a lot of the violence that went on in Chicago that came out. It probably would have changed a whole lot of things, opened a lot of doors. But Chicago's so metropolitan and
You got the
mob stability and mob style. They're like they don't You
He had
know,
a lot.
they kept it from us. You
He had a
know,
lot
they
of gatekeepers. He had a lot of gatekeeping.
a lot of gatekeepers, and they kept it from us. Like that's what made HBK so important.
Yeah,
Like
because it kind of broke down those barriers. Because you had cats who lived out south, and from interviews I did, they was always talking about how they could. People like, I would go to my cousin's house so I could hear this on the weekend. I
right,
would move around the south side on the weekend so I could hear HBK and hear
right,
this music. People did
right.
a lot of things, put and big antennas and lunar foil.
Just so you can get the station.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's all the way on the end of the town. Like, man, it's the last, like it passed everything, all the big stations. You go to the very end, and then shit don't go no more. Like, and then you gotta make sure you get it right in between the 88 and the 88.5. Like, and you finally get it. Like, oh, we got it. Like, that was that was crazy. Just getting locked in the station. Like, you had to be in a good spot and all that. Like, if you were in a good reception area in the south side, like you probably couldn't get
so that people were like literally like I got to go to my cousin's house. I got to go to my aunt's house. I'm going to my grandmother's house on the weekend. So I already
right, yeah,
know Friday and
right.
Saturday they got these shows going on. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do. But at midnight, I got my tapes ready because I'm
Right.
gonna play that raw, uncut hip hop.
Raw, uncut. Like HBK, I tell my friends in New York, I was like, that was like our Stretch Armstrong, Bobito in
Yeah,
Chicago. Like in Chicago version. Like I was if I could ever make that happen one day, I would like for them to come to HBK and just to come see it, like Stretch Arm and
yeah. I'd
Bobito.
like to sit down with them one day.
Yeah,
Because it's like
that'd
that
be dope.
same that same energy that they was putting out. I always call HBK that back room and that library. All them records, the
Mm,
Gladiator School.
the back studio,
You
all
know
the
where all the
station used
records
to
at,
be in the back, right? When you
right?
come up the stairs, the first door, straight to the back, like before, not even going to
The booth. We ain't going. We talking about where all the records at. Where all the
wall of it,
MCs be
exactly.
waiting they turn to
Yeah.
play tape.
And you know what's crazy? I don't even. I've been in there a few times, like
Hmm.
because after, like by the time I started coming to HBK, it was starting to move. It was starting to open up at the other side. Like you come
Yeah,
out there and just go over that little bridge and into the new studio.
yeah.
But it wasn't even on that side. It was on the other side.
So we talking. We talking that back room was the Gladiator School where the
That was
MCs was at.
that. Yep.
They. And people. We talking the '90s era.
Yeah.
And this when people they done heard the New York artists, and that's like, all right, I've been working in my
I've
room,
been working on I've been training. I've been listening to y'all.
and now it's like, now it's and these cats, I mean, were serious about it because
Okay.
they done read the knowledge of selves, the
Mm-hmm.
different books, the different schools. We had the Ansars, the
Oh, yeah.
5%,
Everybody been building. Everybody been rocking with the building with the guys. Been going to the school. Been
and
getting
everything.
yeah, yeah. Like getting their mathematics. Everybody. It was a wave. Like everybody
Yeah.
was. A lot of people stuck with it. A lot of people, just trying to learn, and a lot of dudes flipped out with some chemical imbalances and shit.
Right. People had the shrooms, people doing weed,
Doing all kind of extra drugs,
the
but
acid.
it was a crazy time. It was a crazy.
People was dropping tabs and everything. So,
Oh,
but in the midst of this, I remember this. They had this thing called the Black Expo in the '90s, and it was
I'm
at McCormick Place, I believe.
yep. That's gonna
And
be so dry.
and this is the first time that Ultramagnetic came down there. And this was the Funk Your Head Up album.
mm,
And they were at HBK. And this the this the first time I'm meeting them. And
okay.
so, standing outside the booth, and Keith, I called Keith. We talking, and like, this is how this was. What was crazy was that, like, I've been listening to Ultramagnetic since they dropped their first cut.
Mm-hmm.
Bought the Critical Beatdown album, listening to this every day, trying to put people on to this.
Yeah.
Now they finally here. It's like the gods done came down from heaven,
It came and shined down on you.
and they done came down to that HBK, that's the holy place for Chicago hip hop.
Right.
Where and so we stand in the hallway, and like, yeah, we talking, and so he gave me like 3 numbers. He gave me his manager number, another number, and then he gave me his home number. And shit, like, and he done wrote this on this piece of paper, his
On a piece of paper, right?
his yellow marker. So I'm like, damn, I'm like, damn, this the right numbers and shit, and you know,
Oh.
and it was bugged out because here it is, I'm listening to these cats now, standing in front of my idols, my rap gods, and he giving me numbers to call.
That's so funny because he been doing that for years, like giving people like 4 or 5 different phones.
We was listening to that
Mhm.
now. We making these connections.
Right.
The station has brought us into this
To the world.
atmosphere, this world. That put this that happened. So how did
Mhm.
you wind up hooking up with Kool Keith?
Oh, it was years after HBK. It was some years after the HBK days, but I was I had the crazy thing with me. I had got a deal. I had ended up getting a deal in '98. I got a distribution deal in '98 with a company in New York called The Orchard, and
Okay.
The Orchard had they had just opened up, and they was doing a joint venture special with disc makers, and I was already buying cassettes from disc makers and CDs and stuff like that already. I was a tape guy. I was already
Right.
doing the
Right.
tape, man. So I was already getting tapes from them. So this makers sent me the information about this label. They were looking for artists, and I already was a customer, blah blah blah. And if I was willing to check them out, they'd send me a contract or whatever. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I didn't know
Uh huh.
much about what I was doing. Only thing I did know only thing I knew was that I knew all these artists, like I know from HBK, they albums, they got distribution. They got a record
Okay.
label and it's a distributor.
Right.
And I know I don't have a distributor. So they was talking about distribution, and I was like, okay, well, fuck it, I'll do it. So I did it. I signed it, and it was all through the mail. Like they mailed me a contract. I
Wow.
signed it, mailed it back. Next thing you know, they made copies of cassettes for me and sent me cassettes, and they put them in the stores. And I didn't know nothing about online stores, and then they put they asked me like what stores I want them in. Shockhound, eMusic, and all these different stores. I just picked a bunch of places, and they were selling the cassette. The cassette was selling. They sent me a check. So, but I didn't release nothing else after that. And the cassettes that they sent me, the physical cassettes, I just sold them out my hand and gave them away and played them up at HBK.
Wait a minute. What was the name of this album though? What was the name of this
It was
project?
a single called Price of Butter. I was playing the Price of Butter up at the actual single was called Life's Addiction. The single was called Price of Butter. It was another song they called Streets of Knock You. It was
Okay.
produced by DJ Fonz and Bugs the Beast. Bugs the
Okay.
Beast is with Kanye right now, and DJ Fonz does mad stuff for me and a whole lot of other various artists out here.
Okay.
So I had put that out on the Orchard, and then I brought the tape to HBK with JP. JP Chill was there at the
Okay.
time, and that record kind of blew me up a little bit on HBK.
Okay.
Price of Butter. So, but like, again, from that point, I didn't go back. I didn't go back to the Orchard. Like I was on the Orchard, but I didn't release nothing else with them.
Okay.
I didn't put nothing else out. I just went stuck with what I knew in the streets, and just went out like anybody else, on my grind or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So by 99, I was back in the studio. I called myself quitting and all this because I I didn't know much about the game. I didn't think people were serious no more in Chicago.
Okay.
And Bug came at me because he had a label he was working with called Infrared. So he was like, "Yo, dang,
Okay.
come to the studio. I want you to come get down. Like I'm messing with all these people, Kanye and Young Berg, blah 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 blah." So I was like, "All right, I'll come see what it is." I came over there. Make a long story short, made some music with them. They kind of revved me back up. I said, I'm gonna take a trip to LA. Took a trip to LA with some music I made. Ran the Kool Keith. And when I ran the Kool Keith right on Hollywood Boulevard, I didn't think it was him. I thought it was a lookalike. I thought it was somebody that looked like her. Cause I'm as I'm walking, he's coming out of Popeye's Chicken, like his favorite food. He's coming out of Popeye's Chicken, talking to the girl. And I'm looking like, man, this dude look like Kool Keith like a motherfucker. But I'm like, I'm in Hollywood. It was probably looking like, some dude looking like me. So I walk right up on the guy, and I'm like, homie, you look like Kool Keith. He started laughing. Like, I am Kool Keith. I'm like, what? He's like, man, what's up with the studio? He's laughing more. He's like, yo, man. He's like, who are you? Man, I'm Dane Uno, man. I'm from Chicago. I got my music, man. That's what I'm doing. I'm out here grinding, taking my joint. And I'm like, man, what's up? You a legend, yo. And he like gave me his number like he did you. Gave me his number to the studio, number to his phone. He's like, hit me up tomorrow. We go to the lab. So I'm like, all right, bet. After that, I hit him. I even hit him the next day. I think I hit him like a couple days after that because I was still bugging over that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling Chicago, hitting like, man, I ran the Kool Keith. I got his phone number. He's talking about coming to the studio. They probably lying. I don't even know if it really was him. I'm still like absorbing that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't come looking for him. I just, it was like.
Bumped into him.
They bumped into him like it was like the oddest thing and the oddest person in the world to meet in Hollywood. I'm like, out of all the people, I walk right in the Kool Keith, and I'm a fan. Like, at the same time, like I ain't know who he was. Like I'm a fan, like a real fan.
No Wesley Snipes, no Arnold Schwarzenegger, no.
But yeah, no real. I'm looking for that kind of, Hulk Hogan walked down the street or something like, oh shit, this fucking Hulk Hogan walked. You know what I'm saying? Any star, anybody but Kool Keith. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing is, I was meeting a lot of people, but to meet somebody like from like what I really do, and somebody who understands like where a person like me would be coming from, and on a hip hop level, like that was like the main person to meet almost. Like not even knowing it, but we went to the studio. We did these crazy songs. I met some people he was down with this dude named No Name, and I met
I did an interview with him a while back.
With No Name. Yeah, I met No Name. He had long braids. We was talking about Chicago. He down with Chicago. Like, No Name, man, cool.
Right.
At the same time, like, he an artist, and it's this chick named Fantasy was there. I ain't never see her again, but she was an artist, and this guy, I forget his name. I forget this other guy's name, but we recorded like 3 records that day.
Okay.
And I never got the records. I had one of the records on a CD, but I lost it. I don't know whatever happened. And Keith had this crazy dude who was down there with him named Money, and Money was trying to be my manager, and but I guess Keith was kind of fed up with Money. Because Money was bringing all these crazy rappers and crazy people home and stuff like that to his crib. And Keith was telling them he didn't want to meet nobody. So by the time I came around, like I met Keith, but I guess Money was putting him through so much hell. He telling Money come to me like, man, he don't want to talk to nobody. Like I kind of like was just doing my own thing in LA and moving around and, meeting people. Got up with Daddy V from Dog Pound. He was taking me around, taking me to the studio. I was moving around on my own. I did some records. I did a record with Badass, rest in peace. And then I called Daddy V to come up to the studio to come hear it. And some shit went down at the studio. It was always some shit with me because I did the song with him and this other guy. And I remember clearly after we did the record, I lit that verse up. I put some fire on there. and not badass, but the other guy was, man, I kind of, it was his song, and he was, I guess I outshined him on it or whatever. He was a little upset. So I'm telling Daddy V about the song. Like, yo, come hear this record. I did a dope record with Badass.
Mm-hmm.
We come, I go all the way to LBC. We come from Long Beach, go all the way to Hollywood to go hear the record.
Mm-hmm.
They all up in the studio. We got this other crew of dudes in there. They kind of act like they the dog pound or whatever. I don't know. And they looking all crazy at me. They looking at Daddy V. Like, oh man, Daddy V with him. And I ain't no Daddy V, and like, yo, play that record. Play the record. Oh man, your verse got erased. I'm like, my verse got erased.
Wow.
I'm like, what's up with that? Daddy B pulled me to the side, like, yo, man, a lot of dudes out here try to be like the pound and blah blah blah. Everybody, don't you ain't got to get down with everybody like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to come back to the LBC, chilling out here. I'm gonna chill out here. Fuck it.
Right.
See what it is. So I stayed out there, But Daddy V been cool with me ever since.
Okay.
To this day, he play my records out there on Cadillac Music in LA right now on
Yes,
Snoop Radio.
indeed. Yes,
I
indeed.
made relationships when I was in Cali. So, it was a blessing to even go there. Like I said, with Kool Keith, I met him out there, and that boomerang back to me because I came back to New York and I bumped into him on my birthday
Okay.
in 2014. And I was contemplating leaving New York and come back to Chicago,
Uh-huh.
saying my prayers on it and all that. Should I stay here? Should I go? My birthday, I'm out there hanging out in Times Square with my peoples, like living it up, kicking it up, and all that. Kookie walked dead into me, like the way I walked into him in Hollywood. He walked dead into me now, up in Times Square in New York. Like, what you doing here? Like, what's up? What up, man? Come to the studio. This is exact words coming out of his mouth. Like, come to the studio. We take a picture and all that.
Okay.
Man, the next week I'm in the studio with him. We dropped this record called Houdini,
Mm-hmm.
and a label he was working with, well, he's still working with, called Junkadelic
Okay. Yes,
out in
indeed.
Paris. Yeah,
Yes,
Paris.
indeed.
Got up with me, Nada and Junkus Lou. They was interested, asked me was I interested in doing a project with him. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Now you got to understand this. All up until this point,
Mm-hmm.
I still have this distribution deal.
Okay.
But I still don't even know how to use it. I don't know how to work it. I don't know nothing about this.
Okay.
I did not get understanding of this deal until COVID came and we had to sit down in quarantine. I had
Mm-hmm.
to reach out trying to put out one of my projects.
Okay.
Now, let me back up. Now, all while I was doing this stuff with Keith and with Junkadelic music and everything, I'm learning more about the business. I'm learning more about the craft and everything. It's a great experience for me. You
Okay.
know, at the same time, I'm telling Keith throughout our time together about the orchard.
Okay.
'Cause we would joke about he would joke about people, different situations about
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
ain't don't have distribution, like he ain't got no distribution, motherfucker. He'd talk, and I'll tap him like, yo, you know what? I got distribution, I just don't know how to use it, and he'd be like, yeah, yeah, whatever, and like he'd blow it off, right?
Uh-huh.
And then so I'll blow it off, like, yeah, fuck it, we doing something else anyway. So I wouldn't think nothing of it. So I didn't really know how to go about it, how to deal with it until one day we went in the studio with Mark Live. And Mark Live is Kool Keith's cousin, and we went in the studio, that's good friend of Ice T, and we went in the studio doing some songs for his album.
Okay.
And Keith was telling me that this was all being paid for by the Orchard. And I'm like, hold the fuck up. And I'm like, Keith, I told you I got distribution from Orchard. How they get money or budget to do this? And he's like, I don't know. I said, well, why don't you and me go to the Orchard and talk to them or something, or try to figure it out, because I got it. I just don't know how to use it. I don't know how to use it. I don't know what type of power I have or
Right.
anything. I didn't, I
Right.
didn't, I didn't know these things. So, again, we blew it off. Didn't think nothing of it until fast forward, like I said, when COVID and everything came and the quarantine and the lockdown and all that. I had a project and I was trying to release it, and I wasn't releasing it through Fat Beats. The stuff that I did with Junkadelic, they released everything with Fat Beats.
Okay.
But this was I was doing on my own, so I didn't have any help with this. I didn't have anybody. I had one feature from Chicago, but I didn't have anybody in New York involved on this project as far as like music or well, I take that all the way back. I had the father of hip hop. I got Kool Herc blessed that album.
Okay.
He blessed that album on FWM. He gave me some blessings on there. You have to check it out to hear him. Yeah,
So how did that come about? Wait, let's stop. How did that come about? How you
oh
get the
man,
Godfather, the father of hip hop?
my story is so crazy. I need to write a book.
Yeah,
I
you
need,
do.
I
Yeah, you
need, I
do.
need, I need to write a book, man. But oh
Give us the
man,
short version. Give us the short version.
I'm gonna give you the short version real quick. We're gonna take this all the way back home in Chicago to Cassius D.
Okay.
Cassius D, and shout out to Cassius D and
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Zulu
indeed.
Nation. And that's Kool Herc's brother. And make it real short and sweet. Cassius D used to have these oils back in the day. He used to sell.
Yeah.
The one he called was called that Pearl,
Mhm.
and it was Pearl. And every time I would see Kool Herc up at Tony Touch Spot Sutra, I would see him and tell him like, "Yo, Cassius D said what up?" And he's like, "Yo," he hugged me, "Yo, man, Cassius D, you know Cassius D. Yo, tell him I need that Pearl. Who are you? What's your name?" And they're like, "Yo, I'm Dane One from Chicago. Yo, Dane, well, give me your phone number. Give me your number right now." And he took my phone number. Like this is how we met. Took my phone number, everything. Got me like in his arm, like he big. Took his number. You know what I'm saying? And from that point on, he been like my uncle or something in New York. Like
Okay.
Kool Herc. Like I can call him on the phone. His birthday was yesterday. Just hit him with a happy birthday. You know, I hit him. I send him music every now and then, and he called me right back and let me know, about the music. Like I sent him a video, the song called Ayo, the video for Ayo.
Mhm.
He hit me right back. And I was asleep when he hit me back. And I had sent it to him early in the morning. Went back to sleep when he called me. And he's speaking about it on the album, on the FWM album. Like if you hear the album, you can hear him talking about it. Like you hear
Okay.
him talking about it, And I threw it on there, and he like it was a blessing. I was, he was glad to do it. I told him we talked about the album afterwards, and he liked it. And
Okay.
I'm just glad to have a relationship and with through Cassius D and with Kool Herc, and just be a part of that up in New York, being
Yes,
from
indeed.
it's a blessing, man. Yeah, but yeah, that was crazy. Like, yeah, to have Kool Herc on there, but I was putting that album out on my own. Wasn't nobody involved. That's one of my part of my relationship I got with Kool Herc is get him on there. And as far as anybody else, like outside artists that I worked with before, they're not on that album. Nobody's on the album. Just pretty much all me. Rob Smooth from Chicago, King Drive, featured him on that album.
Okay.
The only other artist on there, and it's all me. And I had nothing to do with Junkadelic. Kool Keith ain't on there.
Mhm.
Like I did all that on my own, and through the orchard, I had to
Yeah.
read the information,
That's
start emailing, talk to my manager, my product manager, and everything. And they explained that how my deal worked, and it was for life, and I had distribution. I could put out records whenever I want, and all that type of stuff. So it made me focus on my label, Chromosome Music, more
okay.
because I got my own label. I had my own label all that time, and I don't have any artists on the label but myself.
Mhm.
I still work with people, but I got the label to be able to. I can put artists out. I can put things out, but I'm still building. I'm still building myself as an artist and a company. So I can't just sign somebody and they expect to jump in the Bentley tomorrow. I don't have a Bentley, so I can't give you one to drive around as an upfront bonus. So like you see these kids doing, but we can do something. We can do some things. I do got connections. I do got relationships with people, and we can make something happen. If you got to be willing to do as much work as I'm doing, or and that's why I call my concept is team first. As far as my overall umbrella, I'm like my whole anybody down with me, anybody I'm down with, you too is team first. Like I wouldn't be on the air, wouldn't be on this air, on the podcast with you if I didn't come to HBK dealing with the people I dealt with first. So that's my team. That's my family. That's my team first. The whole concept of team first is family. So when you ever see me with that TF on or talking about team first on Instagram, you see the TFs.
Mhm.
That's team first. It means family. That's the concept of your people. So that concept can go anywhere. Like anybody
Okay.
can, yeah, anybody can be a part of that. So it's not like a clique or a crew or designated members or nothing like that. It's just the concept of mind state,
So,
and
yes,
that's what
indeed. Yes, indeed. That's
yeah,
love.
yeah, that's what team first is. So I know people see it and probably wonder, but that's again, that's why I'm on this podcast right now because of team first. You
So,
know,
how did you get out into Japan?
oh man.
You are a traveler.
Woo! Oh man, we had some work out in Japan, and also I have a daughter in Japan.
Okay,
And
okay.
I have a daughter in Japan, and I had some work out in Japan, some promo I was doing out in Kawasaki.
Because they love hip hop out there.
They love hip hop out there. I didn't know how much they loved hip hop out there. It's
Hmm.
probably more than we love it in the state.
Yeah,
Like if you
because we
go
take it
out,
for granted sometimes.
you take it for granted, man. Like you go out the country, you see how much they appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I was over there. I was over there. I got to hang out with DJ Honda. Out in Kawasaki.
Okay.
I was a fan of DJ Honda. I love. I even got a chance to spin on some DJ Honda tracks back in the day.
Okay.
Some of them old beats he did that was the Blade movie. I spit on some of those old tracks he did, and I got to tell him about that. I gave him a Houdini vinyl. I took some vinyl out. I gave him a Houdini vinyl
Okay.
that featured me, Kanye. I mean, not Kanye, me, Kool Keith, and Andre the Giant.
Okay.
And yeah, gave him some vinyl, and he did a DJ battle, a MC battle out there, and a DJ battle out there. I was just there doing some promos,
Uh huh.
for my new music and everything. It's sitting over there. It was dope. It was real dope.
Okay.
And
That's
my
love.
daughter, I'm going back over there soon too. So
Okay.
I got a new producer from over there. He actually in New York right now. We've been doing some work, and he's going back in a
Okay.
couple months. And when I go back, I'm gonna be working with him. I'm gonna introduce him to Honda so we can make some moves over in Japan and vice versa. So we can try to front on some Japanese. I'm gonna do some Japanese hip hop
Okay. Okay.
and
Okay.
front with some American, Chicago, New York hip hop, Los Angeles, and try to bridge some gaps with the music, create some more unity. That's all.
Yes, indeed. And so,
Mm,
like I always talk about, like the evolution of hip hop,
Right,
and we come from that era where we had that knowledge of self. You know,
right,
the young ladies in the cast were rolling around with scrolls, books, and
right,
reading
right,
everything. And now we got this this disconnect where the young cats, everybody want to be a savage and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, and thugs, and you know what I mean. There's a time and place for all of that, but
Where are you at? You saying that? Not to cut off your wisdom, but last night was the 30th anniversary of the Lyrist Lounge,
okay.
and I was talking to Large Professor, and
Mhm.
first I haven't seen Large Professor in a minute, and
Mhm.
he was like, "Peace, what's up? What's up?" And I was telling him I just got back in town. I was in Chicago. He was like, "Man, what's up? What's going on in Chicago?" And I was like, "It's cool." He said, "Man, what's going on that O Block?" This large professor, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right, right.
what's going on O Block, man?
Because I had the
I'm
same
like,
discussions with Keith about that.
yo, and I'm like, man, this is crazy, man. And it's just so crazy to me. I'm way up in Harlem somewhere, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And the Apollo and large professors asking me about the about
Right.
the disconnect, what we
Right.
talking about now up in Chicago.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm like, man, I really ain't have an answer for him. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right, right.
To give them, but like other than yeah, I agree. It's kind of crazy right now, And
Mhm.
I remember once upon a time over in that same area, they was doing music, and
Yeah.
I was over there. Like I had a friend of mine took me over to MOB Records. They had a little label over there, MOB Records. They put out the Cha Cha Slide and all
Yeah,
that.
because Kool Herc Steady come out of that area.
Come from over there, yeah. And
Sinbad the Slayer, all them cats come from
Yeah,
Chicago.
they from. I don't know if the younger guys know the history about over in there, but
Hmm.
they was little kids when I was over there. Like
Right.
I was over there, and they had a young rapper over there, and he wasn't really a hip hop. He was like like what you call him, like I don't want to call him a trap artist, or he wasn't a trap or a drill
Hmm.
artist. It wasn't real hip hop. He was rapping, but it wasn't like the typical
Yeah.
traditional hip hop. It was I don't even really want to what you want to call it. It was like
Yeah.
kind of like gangster rap, like some
Okay.
gangster,
We can
like
label
gang,
that. We'll label it that.
yeah, like some gangster rap, some gangster music. His name was Major Payne. He was like gangster rapper, and they wanted me to do
Okay.
some music with him, but we never got a chance to do it
Hmm.
to do the music. And I think long term, like maybe if we would have did the music, because like I said, I'm from a different block, and they from that block. I think if we would have did the music, it probably would have curbed a lot of the violence that went on that came
Hmm.
about later on because of musical tradition probably would have broke a barrier.
Yeah, and that's what I talk to a lot of people from Chicago who do this hip hop, live this hip hop, is that they was in crews with people from different street organizations,
Exactly.
and
That's
that
what
kind
I
of
think.
brokered the peace when they had to go to shows and whatnot. It showed that
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
ain't all about
It
throwing
wasn't
up your
about,
nation, throwing your flag,
it wasn't
flag up.
about that. My era in the studio, my era in Chicago in the studio
Hmm.
was I would be in the studio with all different types of artists from different blocks. Like
Hmm.
but but the creative sides of things nobody cared about that. No, like in here, it didn't matter. Like we
Right.
could talk about it on the song, we could rap it or whatever, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
But we in here hanging out together. We in here laughing and joking, and man, y'all be on that side, man. We be up there. We was up there. Blah blah blah. It never was like a violent thing.
Hmm.
Hang out with the guys on the west side, or the guys on the east side, or
Hmm.
the guys up north in the studio together. Like, and they were this and they were that, you in this nation, you in that nation, but you can't come to this studio. Like, no, it never was that. Like,
Hmm.
until today, like you get these guys get in the game, get in the hip hop,
Hmm.
and it becomes dangerous for them. Like they
Hmm.
can't go here, they can't go there because of it.
Right.
So
So now,
because of the affiliations and all that, it's like, man, that's crazy because
yeah, that
you post
anger, that anger, that anger. They a lot of the cats nowadays don't let go of the anger. They don't let go of the hurt. And so
from the past, and it's
yeah.
like this was the way the hip hop always was a way to get away out of the past and to take care of your family and to get people away from the violence and curb it. And find a better way and a better situation for the people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can't create a bad situation for the people. You can't have somebody looking up to you, but you creating a bad environment for me to walk down the street. Like, but you want me to listen and buy your records, but I can't walk down the street and listen to your shit. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I can't look up to you, and I can't walk down the street because I might lose my life to somebody else listening to your music,
Mhm.
and they looking at me crazy because of it. And
Right.
then it's in the air
Mhm.
that you don't have no peace with your rival. So it's like,
Mhm.
that's why I salute Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, him and YG.
Mhm.
Like we're up in LA, like to see them together, it's like miraculous. It's like a beautiful thing. Like it curbs a lot of violence in the hip hop community, in the streets, because the
Mhm.
people see it. They can see a visual of peace. So if they can see it, they know it can be it. So if they don't see it, you keep it away. It's like, oh, it could never be nothing like that. There's gonna always be that anger. It's gonna always be that, oh, fuck you, fuck y'all. And it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a beef. Somebody gonna get hurt. Somebody gonna die. And it's like all of that is what we don't need. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We're trying to uplift. We're not trying to destroy. We're trying to build. We ain't trying to destroy. And especially when you get fortunate enough to be able to be in a position to build, why would you want to destroy? You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Exactly.
It makes no sense to want to destroy what's being built. So the unity is what's needed more than anything. So we could unify what's going on and try
Mhm.
to bring the hip hop and what these young guys and young girls is doing and have a try to come a common line. Then
Okay.
we can try to we could create something that'll be long term and that we can own as a people. Because one thing I seen last night that I did like and I dislike, like I was at the Lyrist Lounge, 30th anniversary at the Apollo.
Uh
The line was down, like all the way down. I'm talking. I never
huh.
seen a line that long for one. But one thing I did not see was a abundance of young kids trying to get in there.
Okay.
You know,
So
like when we were young, we trying to get in these spots where
okay.
these shows are trying to, they're trying to get sneak in or whatever. And I didn't see a lot of young kids trying to get into to get to some real hip hop. Grand Pooba had his son there, and
Okay.
I was glad his son was in there
Mhm.
because he raps too, and it reminds me of somebody like me at his age who will be trying to get into something like this to
Right.
see. It's like it just showed me the disconnect from the music and the hip hop itself, how the influences has changed and how the record companies and the powers that be they changed the sound and everything and the music and the frequency, what I'm saying, to capture a lot of people to stray away from the higher form and the higher levels of music and lyricism. So people don't concentrate on this music. They like to get what's fast and quick. And I can't see you 30 years from now having a tribute to records that's coming out today.
Mhm.
30 years from now, like
Yeah.
a lot of these records are so microwave, what I'm saying? They're good records, but
Mhm.
they not longevity, timeless records. I'm not hearing a lot of timeless music that 30 years down the line you're going to see that. You're going to see these same artists do those same records, and because
Right.
you love them so much and they
Right.
impact generations.
Like you
Like
you
these
hear
records.
somebody throwing Ghost Stetzer.
Say it again.
You hear somebody throwing Ghost Stetzer.
Go. Yeah,
Those
yeah,
drums come on.
yeah, man. Like you're not gonna hear that 30 years from now. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And be like, oh my God, I love this, man. This touched my kids and my
Mhm.
auntie and my grandmother loved it. Like those, the records from the golden era, like those records touched whole families. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So,
Exactly.
and that was
Exactly.
the penetration of hip hop and the impact it has on people. That's why these dudes rapping today. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't be rapping today if that didn't happen.
S-
You
Right. So we're gonna bring this full circle.
Okay.
So with that, what legacy is you trying to lay down
I'm trying to lay down a legacy.
and continue? Because you ain't finished, but you laid
No,
down a legacy and you still continue. So what did you let us know?
I'm laying down seed. I've been planting seeds the whole time. So long as I'm planting seeds out here, they all growing and growing into fruit tracing, and I'm the testimonial of it right now. I'm what people thought I couldn't do right now.
Mm-hmm.
I heard everything. Like I ain't no millionaire. It ain't about being
Mm-hmm.
that don't classify success. Like having big things or material things. That don't classify success. Success is within yourself. The things you accomplish, the things that you've done in this life, and the things that make you happy. And that's success. My legacy is just that. Team first concept behind
Mm-hmm.
for people to see what I can do, see what I've done, and see what you can do, and do the same thing. I'm gonna lead this music here. I got this music out here. I got a daughter out here that I'm gonna teach everything I know to. I got a lot of friends out here that I try to speak to and talk to, even if they don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
I try to put my lessons out here. I leave a crumbs. I leave a trail of everything I try to do to reveal to people, not everything I do, but the things I want people to know, I show so they can know and try to follow my footsteps. If they're not with me doing it, I try to show them how to do it. And at the end of the day, it's all about TF. It's all about working with your team. It's all about having key people around you, positive people around you that's trying to go forward with everything you're doing. Anybody else is a weak link in your chain, and it's gonna hold you back, and you ain't gonna go forward. So you want to go forward. If you live in this life to be to leave something behind and to make a mark in this music and this hip hop or whatever you're doing, surround yourself with people, and that's your team or your family or the people that you consider your family, and utilize those people first and vice versa, so y'all can become something out here. Create your own your own. You know, that's what it's about. It's about owning your own, building something to leave behind for your families. And I'm trying to leave behind a museum. I'm trying to create a
Yes,
team first
indeed.
Team First University. This is Team First University speaking right here.
Yes,
Team First
indeed.
Museum I'm leaving behind. So it's like everybody. I'm a student as well as a member and a client and all of that.
Yes,
So
indeed. Yes,
I'm,
indeed.
I'm just putting that same energy that I inspire myself and try to inspire others with. You know, 'cause that's what it's about. This music is I use the music to inspire. I want to inspire others to be creative. You know, I don't knock anybody that is creative. You
Yes,
know,
indeed. Yes, indeed.
you know what I mean. So
Yes,
that's what it's
indeed.
all about. That's what it's all about.
And you know what? You know what? This is, now sitting here thinking, for the people out here listening, this is just the first installment, because we just scratching
But
the surface of things. But I see a couple of things in the future, man. Dane Uno gonna sit down and talk about because
no doubt.
we just scratched the surface in this. But my man laid some jewels with him with his blessing. I like to continue this conversation
Oh
in
yeah.
future episodes because he touched on some couple of things that need to be talked about.
We're gonna
Like
go way out of space. Way out in the chromosome with it. We gonna go way out in the zones with it. Like, people put some questions in your YouTube or something. Like, people ask,
yeah, cause like I'm sitting there listening to him, but yeah, he dropped some nuggets that we gonna unravel this. Like
yeah.
archaeologists. We're gonna go back, dig it up, and and tell a story of how this. Yeah, cause sitting here listening to him. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
You
I got a
know,
crazy story,
with
man.
his blessing, hopefully he'll sit down with me again and do this. You
Yes,
know.
sir. Yes, sir. Oh yeah. You got that blessing from me. Whenever you want, whenever you need it from me, you got it.
Yes,
Wherever
indeed.
I'm at in the world, we can do it. If I'm out the country, we got to do it on a live or something, or
Yeah,
a
we're gonna get a satellite
messenger.
phone or something.
Yeah, we do a satellite or something. Hit you from the temple or something.
So, tell the people where they can find you at, your music, where they can find you at in this world wide web or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, y'all on I got a website, daneuno.com. That's the easiest. Or you can Google me, Dane Uno. I'm on Instagram, Dane Uno Life, DaneUnoLife. Had to put the life on there because I got hacked, so I threw the Dane Uno Life. And I'm on Twitter at the real Dane One on Twitter. And LinkedIn, I'm Dane Uno all over there. Catch me on Spotify. Listen to my music. Burn my Spotify up, everybody. Burn it up, burn it up, burn it up. Play it, play it, play it when you sleep. Play it at night. Play it when you wake up. Dane Uno, FWM on Dane Uno. That's the album that I own. The album I own is FWM, so burn that one up. I need y'all to burn that one up so I can keep making records. And I got also I got my other records on there, and I got a Bandcamp. You can check out dane1.bandcamp.com. Again, that's dane1.bandcamp.com. DANEONE Bandcamp, and you get a lot of my records over there. Records I did. That's like my record store. So all the records I
Okay.
recorded and done, and I sell all over there. Not all my records, but a lot of a nice chunk of records. Nice little
Okay.
piece of records to play with and go through. You can listen to them, buy records for 99 cents over there. So please support Team First. Please support Chromosome Music, Dane Uno, so we can keep it going. And also create clothes and hoodies and T-shirts and merchandise and stuff like that. So anybody want to purchase a hoodie of the album covers like Project Radiation I did with Junkadelic or Chicagoland I did on my own, FWM. I got a couple TF Team First hoodies. People can check those out. Just hit me up. I got a email Dane1Tracks DANEONETRAX at gmail.com. Anyone want to book me for some shows, some hostings, anything like that? Hit me on the email. Hit me on any of my social media. I get right back at you. You hitting me direct, so I'm gonna get right back at you, and we can make something happen.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And once again, thank you, Dane
Oh man,
Uno.
thank you, brother. I appreciate you, Collapse out, man. And
Yes, indeed.
HBK to the world, blow up, brother.
Yes,
We
indeed. And it's been
got
Jet
free.
Propulsion Lyrics Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Dane Uno. Check them out.
Salute, 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 salute.